Hello, and welcome back to Tottenham Logic TV. Wow, when Tottenham lose, let me just get this off straight away. It's very, very hard to even watch a video talking about Spurs, let alone create an upload for people to watch talking about Spurs who've just lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace. So please bear with me. I know nobody even wants to watch this, but I need to get this out because I need to be here when we win and when we lose. The topic today I want to talk about is where do we go from here though, because obviously there's a lot of Ange outers now. There's still people like myself that still believes in Ange and still believes that he's the right guy to take us forward, but the Crystal Palace game I cannot defend. I defend Ange. When we played against Coventry, for example, we bring in a lot of squad players. They're not played together before. I gave them benefit of the doubt and thought they'd get better during the season. That was a very poor performance, but I was given excuses for that. Then the Brighton second half came out of nowhere. We had a brilliant first half. It was all over them. They're a decent side. We're away from home. We was battering them. Should have scored 3 or 4. But in the second half, all of a sudden, we lose in the game 3-2. Ange didn't know, what was going on. His players seemed to turn from one player to another. They just seemed to turn into one good player into a bad player just in the space of a half. So I put that down to complacency. But then when we're now playing against Crystal Palace, a team that haven't won a game yet, a team that was struggling for form, we went into that game, we had no fight, no desire, didn't win any second balls. The defense playing out from the back was dreadful. The midfield weren't winning any second balls. There was no service to the strikers or for the wingers. Mikey Moore had his first start of the season in the Premier League as a 17-year-old, and not one of the players stood up and helped him through that game. He had a bad game because the whole team had a bad game, and there was no support for this young lad. And that's what angered me the most. We've got a young lad coming through the ranks and we put in a performance like that on his first team debut starting. I can't believe it. It was dreadful. So I cannot defend it. My question is, why is this happening? Now, we're all saying Ange out. We're all saying Spursy. Let me just address the Spursy thing. The Spursy thing's been going on for 30 years. So this is not an Ange thing. This is a Tottenham thing. But again, I can't defend Ange for letting his players go out and put that kind of performance out. After the Brighton game, it should have been squashed there and then. That's not acceptable. That's not going to happen again. But it's happened again. But this time, it's not just one half. It's happened for 2 halves. So for me, Ange needs to take some responsibility now and figure out why this is happening. Why are we putting in performances like that? How can we play a brilliant performance at Old Trafford, a brilliant performance against West Ham, and then have a performance like this? It worries me a little bit as to what's going on behind the scenes for you to be excellent one week and shit another. I don't know if they've got City in their mind, but that's no excuse. You should try to win every game. So maybe they've got City on their mind, but that I'm still not going to make up excuses. The performance was dreadful and it needs to be addressed. We've won 4 games and lost 4 games this season. So it's win, lose every week now. It seems to be no consistency. And that's the biggest reason why there's a lot of Ange outers, because they want consistency. Now, I said before this game, if we lost, I'm not going to overreact, because I did say we're going to have bad performances. We're going to have losses. I just didn't expect it to be against Crystal Palace. I thought it may have come against Aston Villa or Manchester City. But to lose to a bottom 3 club in that fashion is worrying. Now, where do we go from here is the title of my thumbnail. And the reason why I put that is because what's your options? See, the option that I would go for, I'll tell you first, and then I'll tell you your other option. The option I would go for is, let's play this out to the end of the season. And just got the players he wants in. He's got a year under his belt to teach the players how he wants to play. He said he always wins things in the second season, so we still got to give him that chance to do that. My opinion is, let's just go with this. Let's go with this till the end of the season. Let's see where he can take us and see where we are at the end of the season. Let's see where we finish in the league. Did we win a trophy? Now, the other option you've got is get rid of him now, bring in another manager, He has to bring in now his new philosophy. He now has to bring in the players that he wants to bring in. He now has to convince the Tottenham fans that he's the right man for the job. He now needs to bring consistency straight away, because if he doesn't, then he could be questioned. And then in a year's time, fans could be asking the new guy to be leaving. That's your option number 2. Option number 3 is we could get lucky. We could bring in a new manager, and the new manager could have a new manager bounce, be really good straight off. But there'll still be questions. Can he keep this going for the whole season? If he doesn't, then there'll be questioning again. Is he the right man for the job? So it's round and round and round and round circles. So the sensible idea right now is we keep Ange Postecoglou. He's got the philosophy. We know what we're going to get from him. We know his philosophy. We know we have played some fantastic football this season. We have improved in aspects that we were questioning before, so like naive in defense, set pieces, etc., etc. So he's addressed that. Let's give him time to address this consistency issue. It's still early on in a new process. I know it's been a whole season, but we're only at the beginning of the next season. There's so many managers that took so long to get to a certain level. We are going to be inconsistent for now, but I believe the consistency will come in time. We've still got a January window and another summer window. I still believe we can still have a strong season. We've got Manchester City coming up next. If somehow we can beat these guys on Wednesday, then the Crystal Palace thing will not be forgotten, but it will be in our faded memory a little bit. Go on to beat Aston Villa after that, then we're back on track again. The only problem and questions we're always going to keep having is, are we going to have more of these defeats? And unfortunately, I think so. I still think we're going to have these poor performances and losses, just simply because the team's so young and they're still learning. There's no reason why we still can't have a good season. But after the Crystal Palace game, I'm not trying to defend it. I'm not trying to say, give you fake positivity. All I'm saying is, again, we have lost. Again, there's going to be questions asked and Ange, but where we go logically from here is just to keep following this process. The only time we've ever been successful in recent history, and when I mean successful, I mean a team that's challenging for things, because we haven't won anything, but it was Pochettino. Pochettino hadn't won anything before he came to Spurs. So why did we give him the time to progress into what he did? Because we could see that things were happening and going in the right direction. We could see that performances were there. We weren't getting the consistency. Remember in Poch's second season, I think he didn't win for the first 4 games or something. So there's, and I think that was when we ended up finishing 3rd or something in our second season. So there's still like optimism there for me. There's still something there. Ange still believes in himself. We definitely do need to get more consistent. If let's for example say we lost to Man City, then we lost to Aston Villa, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this guy to start putting in performances. A lot of pressure on him. But logically, again, like I keep repeating myself, we definitely need to just give this guy time, because the alternative is to just give someone else the job and eventually want him out the door again. It's just not sustainable. It doesn't work. We've been changing managers for 17 years and still not won a trophy. So it's obviously not working. The closest we came was Poch, and that's when we gave him time. That's my only logical answer to this. So, but I really want to know what you think in the comments. Where do you think we should go with this? And if you did want to sack Ange, for example, I don't, but if you wanted to sack Ange, what's your alternative? Where would you go from here? And would you give the next manager more than a year to get to a level where Ange is trying to get at? That's all I have to say for today. It's very hard to take any positives, and I apologize for trying to put a positive spin on something that's very difficult to do. Until next time, come on, you Spurs.